Welcome to a Legendarium special about Alexander von Humboldt, the 19th century Amazon explorer. In this episode, we will learn about the man who started off as a mining engineer, but soon left his home to fill in the blank spaces on the map. Born in Berlin on September 14, 1796, Humboldt is sometimes called the last Renaissance man, for he studied all aspects of the world. Born the son of a Prussian officer in the army of Frederick the Great, his mother belonged to a family of French Protestants who fled persecution in their home country. After his father's death in 1779, he and his brother Wilhelm grew up in the care of their mother, an unemotional woman of strict Christian beliefs. They received private instruction in political history and economics, along with the usual courses in classics, languages, and mathematics. Alexander, a sickly child, proved a poor student at first. The restless boy even thought of joining the army and followed his courses only under his mother's intense pressure. After some study at the University of Frankfurt an der Oder, he spent a year in Berlin, where he suddenly became passionately interested in botany. He began to collect plant specimens around Berlin and learned to classify them. However, the meager flora of Brandenburg province did not provide much stimulus for an ardent botanist, and Humboldt soon dreamed of journeys to more exotic lands with more exotic plant life for him to study. During a year at the University of Göttingen from 1789 to 1790, he became interested in mineralogy and geology. This led him to join the School of Mines in Freiburg. Buttressed by his phenomenal memory and driven by a thirst for knowledge, he developed his enormous capacity for work. After a morning underground in the mines, Humboldt attended classes for 5 or 6 hours. In the evening, he scoured the countryside for plants. He left Freiburg in 1792 without a degree, but he obtained an appointment in the mining department of the Prussian government. Humboldt departed for the remote Fichtel Mountains, which had only recently come into the possession of the Prussian kings. Here Humboldt truly came into his own, traveling from one mine to the next, recognizing and reorganizing the deserted and neglected copper pits. Humboldt supervised all mining, invented a safety lamp, and founded a technical school for young miners. Yet he did not intend to make mining his life's work. In 1797, he resigned from his post to begin filling in the blank spaces on the map. Over the next year, Humboldt lobbied the Spanish government for permission to explore Spanish-ruled South America. His first 3 months in Venezuela brought much hardship. Humboldt moved through the dense tropical forests, tormented by clouds of mosquitoes and stifling humid heat. Insects and rain destroyed the Humboldt party's provisions. Hunger finally drove them to eat ground-up wild cacao beans and river water. Finally, the Humboldt party returned to Cuba and began a months-long recovery. Soon after he recovered, Humboldt returned to South America and began an extensive exploration of the Andes Mountains. From Bogota to Peru, the Humboldt party wandered the Andean highlands, following a route now traversed by the Pan-American Highway. But instead of a modern road, Humboldt traversed a series of steep, rocky, and often very narrow paths. The party climbed several peaks, including the volcanoes around Quito. Humboldt's ascent of the 20,700-foot tall Chimborazo became a world mountain climbing record for 30 years. He carried out these achievements without ropes, crampons, or oxygen supplies. Humboldt also studied the oceanic current off the west coast of South America that was originally named after him but is now called the Peru Current. During his journey, Humboldt brought many newly discovered animals world recognition. Humboldt encountered one named the Yukari monkey while at a Jesuit mission. Humboldt originally reported its local name, the Kakajau, but the local people and all speakers of the language have since gone extinct. So we will never know the name's meaning, yet because of the monkey's distinct look compared to other American primates, we can assume the name described the monkey's appearance. In his writings, Humboldt noted that the monkeys gathered in circles and pounded open kapukaya nuts with stones, then eating the seeds. On the banks of the rivers, Humboldt wrote of local Indians harvesting abundant turtle eggs. They handed him a bowl of pig fat, some plantains, and turtle eggs. Though not much pleased, Humboldt ate the dish so he would not appear ungrateful before his hosts, and, much to his surprise, found it to his liking. When the Humboldt party arrived, worn and footsore in Quito, Humboldt the explorer had no difficulty assuming the role of Humboldt the courtier when received by the viceroy. During his 6,000-mile journey through South America, he traveled on horseback, on foot, and by canoe. He also pioneered new methods for gathering data and made himself one of the world's most famous scientists. Soon afterwards, Humboldt returned to Europe and settled in Paris. There he met with publishers, engravers, and map makers who wanted to work with the living legend. That is fortunate, for Humboldt returned with an immense amount of information. Along with a vast collection of new plants, he brought studies of longitudes and latitudes, measurements of the Earth's geomagnetic field, daily observations of temperatures and barometric pressure, and data on economic conditions in Spanish-ruled Mexico. Humboldt spent the last 3 decades of his life writing accounts of his adventures and a magnum opus called Cosmos. This work tried to provide a scientific account of all aspects of nature. Though unfinished at the time of Humboldt's death in 1859, the 4 completed volumes are one of the most ambitious works of science ever published and show an extraordinary breadth of understanding from the world's last Renaissance man. That wraps things up for this episode of the Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.